if they've already, because I'm the type of person who I'm like, oh, over my dead body, would I ask someone out on a date? I just can't do it.
Oh, you're a modern woman.
Yeah. No, I can't. I'm like, oh, no. I'm just.
Well, see, I'm the complete opposite. I'm the.
You'll ask them.
Yeah.
She's got the
Oh my
hockey stick
God.
ready to go.
Say yes.
You're listening to Workplace Inappropriate, where HR professionals and their guests discuss real workplace scenarios to answer the question, what is workplace inappropriate? Co-host and HR professionals Kieran Lowry, Kate Owen, and Zoe Grahl of WorkforcePositive.com won't bore you with employment law or get righteous about workplace conduct. Instead, they're going to answer real questions, like should I dance on the table at the Christmas party? Or can I tell someone their clothes are workplace inappropriate? Kieran, Kay, Zoe, and their guests are lifting the lid on some HR juice and losing the HR fun police tag. With their A-plus HR advice, you can have fun and still keep your job. Now, here are your hosts, Kieran, Kate, and Zoe.
Girls are back.
Well, Workforce Positive is back with our second episode of Workplace Inappropriate. And today we're answering the question, how many times should you ask your work colleague out? So the whole purpose of our podcast is to shed light on real workplace scenarios so that we can better understand our responsibilities and accountabilities in workplace conduct. So this one's actually quite an interesting one, and it's intricate.
Very intricate.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of topics that we can.
Lots of blurry lines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very lines.
How should we start with this one? Like,
I feel like the first point is the workplace policy.
yeah, true.
Yeah,
that is
definitely.
true. The law.
Well,
Like how you get around it. Not get around it, abide by it.
well, the workplace policy it pertains to that workplace.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a law, there's nothing against the law of having a consensual relationship, whether you meet the person at work or otherwise. So that, from a legislative perspective, is not covered. But it may be covered in a workplace policy. So if you're crushing on someone at work or someone's asked you out and you're not really sure if you should say yes or no, my first point of call would be a policy. And in the absence of a policy, you might even want to talk to your HR team. Maybe not. But go and look for a policy that you have access to.
I
Definitely.
always saw this in movies and stuff, and I don't know if this is true. I'm just like, but when the manager likes a employee, is that always weird policy-wise, or
Because it's a power imbalance.
that's what I mean? It is a bit weird if I'm seeing like a CEO with a really.
Oh my God, I'm just thinking, I watched 27 Dresses last night.
Oh really?
Oh, I love that movie.
I love that movie.
It's good, right?
Does that happen?
Yeah, so the EA in the movie, who is
Oh yes. Yes.
the bridesmaid,
Mhm.
I can't think of her name.
Catherine Hegel. I just know it's
That's
Catherine
it.
Hegel.
Yeah.
She's my favourite.
Yeah. So she has a crush on her boss
Mhm.
and it's
Yes.
unrequited until such time as at some point towards the end of the movie, I think they decide that they're not interested in each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's completely normalized in pop culture, this idea that, you know, the romanticized falling for your boss.
Yeah.
Even the proposal, Sandra Bullock as the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie though.
But in reality,
Yeah, in reality, it's probably
It's a
not the
bit
best
weird.
idea.
I actually have like seen some people talk to me being like, oh, if I hooked up with my manager, is that weird because there's a power imbalance? Like, and it also makes you feel uncomfortable because you're like, are they taking advantage of the fact that they're my boss?
yes.
So like, how do you navigate that without feeling weird about it? I think
feel
it's kind
like
of hard.
you know when something's genuine.
Mm.
So if you have genuine feelings,
Yeah.
you try and find a way to go about it.
I feel like you're such a romantic, Kate, too.
Yeah, she's like, you can tell when it's genuine. What about if it's an age difference? Like,
Yeah.
it gets a bit weird as well. Because if it's like 40 and 20,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, I think if you're the manager, you have to exercise a high degree of caution around this type of thing. And like, as a HR professional, I remember I actually met my husband at work. Obviously, we weren't married when I met him, but when we had discussed having a relationship, I actually left the job and went and found another job because I didn't want to be in a position where I was the HR and I was dating someone from work.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I think, you know, if you're that,
Committed.
what was the word you used?
Genuine.
About it, you might find that you do make decisions like, do I leave the job and give the relationship its best chance of to grow and, you know, to connect with that person without the judgment or the influence or the conflict
Yeah.
of the workplace conflict of interest of being a manager or something like that.
I don't know, because I feel like, can you coexist working together and being in a relationship? Like, is it?
I think it depends on the person. Like, like, you know, those relationships where every sentence is an argument. Like, how can you work with people who are like that? And how, as a HR, do you go about a situation like that?
Yeah.
I mean, you've also got to think about, if you're serious about it, you're going to be spending a lot of time together, and that's every single day together. And to me, that's like, you need time
apart.
Alone.
Yeah.
You know?
You need your alone time.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. It just really depends on the person, because if you're fine with it and you're healthy,
I feel like if it affects your work or not.
Yeah.
So as soon as it starts affecting the performance of yourself, your performance
or how
at
you're
work,
feeling as well.
I think it definitely, you need to take
Something to think about.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, if you do start a relationship at work, you are bringing in other people's thoughts and values and judgments about that. So in the absence of a workplace policy, let's say that it is a manager and their direct report, that might concern the business owner, that might concern the HR team, and then they're kind of bringing themselves into your relationship to say, well, you know, like this is a workplace first, employment first. So adding a relationship to this, you've got other direct reports.
Yeah.
You know, and
you have to deal with a lot of opinions, which can be a little bit.
It can be very straining on your relationship too.
Yes.
No one likes that amount of input.
Yeah.
You're already trying to figure out how you feel, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you are so genuine about that, maybe you could be looking for somewhere else, or you maybe put it on a break until you're in a better time and place. Time and place.
Time and place again, Kate.
Think about like the different workplaces, because let's say you work hospo, you're not going to be on all the time. I think it'd be all right for you guys to cross over a little bit.
Yeah.
But if it's you're the same team, you're working together every single day, that might be
in an office. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. We're getting very serious straight off the bat.
Oh wow!
We're into the hardball questions.
We need to go more to the beginning.
Well, that is the beginning though. Like,
really,
you kind of have to. What's that saying? It's like start with the end in mind.
Yeah, that's right.
If you want, you know, if the idea is a healthy, happy relationship, then it would be reasonable to say, well, let's make our own arrangements about what we think is a good thing for us.
Yeah,
whoever that relationship is with.
Yeah,
because unfortunately, like, we all know how good the start of a relationship feels.
Yeah, definitely. It's the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, it's like, ooh.
Yeah. So nothing bothers you.
And also, I feel like
they're amazing. And
you romanticize people you work with because you're in their presence every single day. And so if that rose-colored glasses come off and you're like, oh, you're not actually all that you're chalked up to be.
Yeah, like at home, you're not perfect like you are at work.
Yeah, it can create drama.
Yeah.
So I think Zoe's talking about, let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's talk about like flirting. So like what if you have a crush on someone, and how many times do I ask them out?
Oh, any ideas?
Because we were talking about this and we said one. But then I said, you know, if you're working together for a long period of time, you know, you've gotten closer, you've gotten to know each other more, and maybe the circumstances have changed, I think it's acceptable to like maybe approach again, but I'd be very cautious about it. If they've already told you how they're feeling. But I just feel like it's circumstantial. Like if you've barely known them and you've asked them out and they've said no, but then you get to know them and you're flirting all the time and you're confused, you can maybe even just ask and say, like, where are we standing? Like, how do you feel?
I think in that circumstance, I feel like it's probably worth doing it outside of the workplace, when you in the actual act of asking them out. So like social media in these days is very powerful, and it can be used as a tool.
Follow on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a what's your Snapchat? Like, and it is a power. Kieran's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I really am.
What's your number?
But I think outside of the workplace is definitely the time and place to do that. So you're trying not to bring it into the workplace. Because if you've got other people around you and you go, oh, hey, Kieran, like, I'm pretty sweet on you. Like, do you want to go out to dinner with me tonight? And then, like, Zoe's like, oh.
Yeah.
That's when it starts the drama.
Know. Yeah. I think another thing you have to think about is if you're going to ask someone out, it is very scary for the person you are asking out to say no. Because no one wants tension. So
how do you say no?
Make it as comfortable as possible for them, because they're put in an uncomfortable situation if they don't want to go out with you, you know.
Yeah, well, that's
and they want to be nice to you.
Yeah. So don't do like the whole middle school and go, ew, no.
Yeah. Kindness first.
Yeah. Kindness in both parties. I feel like understanding of what each other, where each other are at.
So try and avoid the awkwardness.
Yeah. Well, like, I want to pick up on something you said, which was, what happens if you do ask the question, like, are you single? Are you interested in hanging out outside of work?
Yeah.
You know, having a drink or having dinner or what have you.
Yeah.
And they say no. And you're like, okay, well, I get that. That's fine. But you continue to have a workplace interactions and it's friendly and you think, oh, but they said no, but we're still flirting and they still seem interested in me and you're not sure. I think I would raise it with them again, but I wouldn't raise it in the notion of asking them out again. I would say, like, I asked you if you want to hang out outside of work. You said no, which is totally fine. And I just wanted you to know, like, we still seem to get along really well. If you change your mind about that, you have to let me know.
Yeah, you approach me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to ask again.
Exactly.
The ball has to be back in their court.
I think that's fair. Like, if they've already, because I'm the type of person who I'm like, oh, of my dead body, would I ask someone out on a date? I just can't do it.
You're a modern woman.
Yeah. No, I can't. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm just.
Well, see, I'm the complete opposite. I'm the.
You'll ask them.
Yeah.
She's got the
oh
hockey stick ready to go.
Say yes. But I think if they've asked you out already, I would be totally fine. And being like the ball's in my court, I'd be happy to say something.
Yes.
If they've made the first steps in the water and I've rejected them, then I think it's totally fair to be like, it's my responsibility to say something if I want something to happen.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should address the issue. Kieran and I were having a big conversation yesterday about sexual harassment and what's classified as sexual harassment and how do we get around that. So, like, if you like someone so much and you want to ask them out, but you're more of like a big gesture type of person, and it comes to, this is an example that Kieran used, it comes to Valentine's Day, you know, you want to ask them out, you want to tell them, like, this isn't, like, I like you, so you order them a big bouquet of roses. Is that, and the person accepts it, like, they get it, they're like overwhelmed, everyone around them staring at them like, oh, who's that? They see the name on the letter.
My worst nightmare, that's scary.
It's humiliating, hey.
I'd say if you want to do that, do it to their house at least. Like, if someone has to see that happen.
The HR professionals in me is going, no.
I'm like
stalking.
Not at all. Like, don't do that, period. If you haven't gone on a date, it's a bit much.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It actually happened to me.
Oh, really?
Really?
Is this why this example popped up?
Yeah.
Because it was,
Yeah. So
it's embarrassing.
It was really awkward.
Yeah.
And I had these flowers and it said it was from an admirer. And I was really young. Like, in the workplace, I was the HR there and I was the only person in the HR team. So it was like a standalone job. And I think I was probably 22 or so. And I called the florist and the florist had known that the person wanted to be anonymous, but had told me anyway, because they thought they were, like, you know, helping Cupid along or something.
Yeah.
And so I called the number that the florist had given me of the person who had ordered the flowers. And then they came to my office because they'd missed my phone call from my work line.
Oh.
And I didn't know why they were there. Like, they were just another work colleague popping by my HR office. So that in itself was just like, oh, hey, how you going? What's happening today? And then he's like, oh, you called me.
No.
And then I was like, oh, wow, so this is from you. And he was like, yeah. He's like, did you want to, like, hang out sometime? And I was like, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And that was it. Right. So he didn't harass me.
No.
I did feel uncomfortable. I was wondering where they came from. I was a bit caught unawares. But we could have had the same interaction with him actually just talking to me without me having to wonder where it was from, call the florist, have this random phone number, have this person walk up saying, you called me.
It's very stressful.
It is a lot of unknowns. And the person's doing it because they're stressed too.
Yeah.
You know, they want like a low impact interaction or like a low embarrassment potential interaction, but they want to do something nice.
Yeah.
But then it's just making it more embarrassing for you on the recipient end.
Maybe, yeah.
I find with
Or I
like,
could have just got the flowers, never called the florist and
Yeah.
never known.
Yeah.
and that, yeah, God, imagine.
Mm.
I feel like with initial interactions, like people think that you need big romantic gestures, but I think definitely for the first time you're approaching someone, you should rule that in because, you know, you can do that when you're dating people. I'm not saying people don't, you're romantic. People appreciate flowers and stuff, you know, I love it. But like, if it's the first time, it is a bit scary.
And
if
it's
you're not,
work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
And everyone can see it.
It's a workplace.
Yeah.
And so one of the other things we haven't discussed, and you've raised this before, Zoe, is this idea. Did I introduce you ladies at the start of this episode?
I know who they are.
I'm
who we
Kira,
are.
this is Kate, this is Zoe.
Hi.
Anyway, we're just too excited. We got into it today. So you raised, what if my workplace friendliness is mistaken for
Flirting.
Oh,
Flirting.
yes. Oh, that's nice.
just being nice to
Scary.
people at work?
Yeah, because it's really hard. I feel like a lot of people, like in my personal experience, when you're like nice to someone and you're really interested in what they say and you're just like genuinely being a kind person, people are like, oh, they like me. Like I should approach them. Like I'm like, no.
Yeah,
it's
you're
not
just
like
a nice
that.
person.
I'm just nice.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have a conversation with you as a friend. I think that's hard as well. Is I find it. A lot of people struggle just maintaining a friendship with the opposite sex and not making it a little bit non-platonic unless they're in a relationship, which I find strange. Like I feel like you should just be able to be mates with someone and not have any expectation of anything happening if you're nice and get along well. You know?
Yeah,
But
definitely.
then if you want something to happen, obviously, go ahead.
But so
it
how
should
do
be okay.
so this is our fine line here. How do we see that, oh, that person does like me and maybe I want this to go ahead? What's that line, you know?
Observation?
Yeah.
But this is,
So
I
if
feel like
Zoe's-
some people aren't observant though, and
But
that's
that's why
the issue.
they're listening to our podcast. to
Oh,
get
true.
advice from
Well,
us.
they can get training from us to be more observant.
Well, like if you are talking to them in the same way that they see you interact with everybody, then that should be a bit of an indicator to them that that is just how you engage.
Yeah.
And sometimes your role requires you to be friendly.
Yeah.
Like you try walking into a HR office and the HR isn't nice.
No, yeah. Doesn't
Right?
work.
It doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So you're kind of, there's a workplace expectation that you will be nice
Yeah.
and friendly and kind.
Yeah.
And if they stopped for a moment to see, like, you're just talking about work and then the work interaction is done.
Yeah.
And then the next work interaction you have is exactly the same with the person after them.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably not an indicator.
Yeah.
People will spend the time to,
They will go out of their way to
I-
talk to you.
I feel like
Yeah.
especially if you're in a workplace, I find when you're in a place where you're forced into proximity, the crushes take a long time to come to a point where anyone's ready to make a move. It's like a tension,
yes,
you know?
because the stakes are higher.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I
definitely.
think that a lot of people like that. Some people aren't, they'll just go for it. But I feel like a lot of people, it's the build up.
Yes.
And both parties, I feel like, can observe that they're interested.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'll do a little shoulder touch.
Oh, workplace touching. Ooh.
Shoulder,
So
like
how do-
friend. Is that okay? Is it?
Well, so how do you, so if you're,
What if you're
shoulder
on the
touching?
receiving end of a touch that you don't want?
True.
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't-
mean, again, I can't, like, unless I know someone likes me,
Yeah.
I don't flirt with them. So,
Oh, look, we don't recommend touching other
no
people
touch.
at work.
Don't touch people. I take it back. No shoulder touches.
No shoulder touching. But like, what about a workplace date?
Mm,
Right? So like, how about we go grab lunch and have lunch
yeah.
together today?
yeah.
Is that low stress?
That's low stress. But then I think it's
That's making an effort.
I think it's the difference between are we going out to lunch as friends or not?
Well,
So-
that's something you're going to have to ask down the track, I
Yeah,
guess.
true, I guess.
But at least you're demonstrating that you're going out of your way. It's not just strictly a work interaction.
True.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to raise a question. Let's move away from like an office environment. Let's go like into the field, like into the trades.
Yes.
Say trades are male dominated,
Yep.
as we know, but females are starting to come into the trades, which is excellent. But I've had personal friends who go into these work environments. They're the
Yeah.
only female in these work environments, and all the men are there. I know that the men themselves are like, well, how do I make her feel comfortable?
Yep.
But then but then she still sees it as she's being preyed on.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty scary feeling.
I think there's also quite a big stereotype around like trades and like the culture among men and with women, which I feel like a lot of people I've met who do work in trade aren't what I expect them to be. I feel like obviously like some of the stuff is really true and needs to change, but a lot of the time people like are very weary when like they actually are just people trying to be kind and create friendships. So I feel like it's that balance between like being weary of behavior and like taking notes of things, but also just being open to like chatting to people and not making an assumption.
So how does it? So if there's the singular female in the
a singular woman or a singular man,
usually in that situation, this is just stereotyping. It's probably not good of me, but usually in that situation, a lot of the men in the workplace actually do like this girl because she's interested in what they're interested in, and it becomes a bit of a competition amongst the men. How does the female dilute this situation?
I don't think it's her responsibility to dilute that situation. Like,
ask her employer to employ women.
Exactly. I don't think she should be like burdened with having to dilute their behavior. That's like the same thing with the prevention of harassment and everything. Like they should know that that's not okay if it's not welcome. So that's just a workplace issue, I think.
Yeah. So the men in that situation need to understand that she's here to work.
Yeah.
And she's not interested in you.
And she can't escape the environment, you know. Like she's working there. She can't leave. So
no. And it's interesting, I think, when the dynamics are such that, you know, there's one woman and multiple men in the one workplace, it's important for her to be clear about how she wants to interact as well, and not get drawn into conversations about, you know, are you single, or are you interested in, are you dating anyone, or, you know, you kind of have to go into those situations with a mindset of, you know, I'm only going to talk about work, or I'm only going to talk about my hobbies and interests, and I don't want to have a workplace relationship, because the second that you do, it completely changes the dynamics.
Yeah.
And that's that whole question we asked earlier about starting with the end in mind. Like if you genuinely want to date someone from work, maybe you're better off getting another job before you do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it will be under a microscope.
Yes. Yes, that's for sure.
But it's hard because she and someone from work might think that they would like to do that. So it's just really asking the question, is the relationship so important to me that I'm going to find a different workplace? I'm going to find a different source of employment.
I think it's also hard if because I feel like there's a journey you need to take to get to that point.
Yep.
And so if you're cutting everyone off from that, it might like make it hard, because if you like someone, then what are you meant to do? Do you have to change your whole persona? Because like it is, there's someone new could join the team and you're like, ooh, he's cute.
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard.
I don't know, like
there's no right answer. I feel like you just sort of have to go by circumstance and what's happening.
Yeah, circumstance, and you just got to be wary of your situation and what's going in.
Just being observant, I feel, is just blanket cover. Like,
don't get blinded by the love.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah,
it's
very easy to get blinded by the love. Let's move into another topic.
Find your safe haven people. Find your people at work. So even in a group of where you feel like outnumbered from a gender perspective, like there's still going to be people that you
connect with
and can trust. And just find those people, but definitely make a point to your employer that you don't want to be the only woman.
Yeah.
I think that is something worth talking about. Like there's a big push to increase female participation, particularly in some roles where you have really low participation, like trades.
Yeah.
You know, so employers will go out of their way to look for female apprentices as an example, to try and build their gender diversity. But they don't necessarily think about putting one woman, and if they are an apprentice, they're potentially quite a young person, into a workplace where they don't have the amenities. You know, the business has been designed, or the workplace has been designed mostly for men, as an example.
Yeah.
They don't have any female mentoring or coaching, so there's no women in the organisation who have the skill to be able to sort of nurture them and take them through their trade.
Yeah.
You know, so it can't be, the diversity problem cannot be solved simply by employing a woman or employing a man. We have to think about how does that person have a successful career in the business?
Exactly, yeah.
Infrastructure.
And how is you as an employer facilitate that?
Yeah.
You know, you have to be very weird.
It's like a whole systematic thing that has to change.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're getting a bit off topic here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely touched on something interesting.
It's definitely very interesting. Okay, I want to talk about something a little bit more interesting now.
Go for it.
So, say Zoe and I are having a little bit of a chat, and I'm telling her about my steamy love life, and Kieran's sitting over here typing away, and she's just like, "Oh my God, I cannot listen to this."
Is that workplace harassment? Is it?
Well, it's the time and place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, should I be talking about my steamy love life
when people can't escape listening to it?
I like the word escape.
Escape.
I mean, I don't know what. Yeah. Anyways,
technically, that would be sexual harassment for sure.
Yeah.
By Australian law definition.
Yeah. See, that's crazy because before I started working here, like I wouldn't have thought that.
No.
Not that
that's great. But
I think it's great that like people, it's not really something that is taught a lot or like people are aware of. People think they can have whatever conversation they want and it's fine if they're with their friends. But there are people that can hear you. I feel like people forget that.
Yeah. And it's like, you probably don't want those people hearing either.
Exactly.
And it's like
win-win for both parties.
Yeah. Kieran and I were talking about this the other day. We were talking about, well, if we're just a coworker, like you're not going to really want to talk about that stuff with them. You're not really that close with them yet. But in circumstance, personal experience, like I've worked with people who I've known for my whole life, and you feel comfortable talking about that. So, but it's that time and place. Hey, like you don't want to talk about it at work. No. Like if you're good friends with them, you obviously see them outside of work. So that's when you need to talk about it then.
Yeah. Or a lunch break or something, just anywhere but like the office where you're working.
Yeah. I think this goes for things like Tinder. Like you don't need to be on Tinder at work. You don't need to be
tell everybody about your
like
Tinder
I don't
activity.
need to be like, hey Kieran, like swipe right, swipe left.
Well, yeah, maybe that might be okay with me.
Like, I feel
might not
like
be okay with everybody.
With different people, you've just sort of got to like be like, am I close enough? Will this person think it's funny? But also you can't always make that judgment.
I think you can bet that most people, even if they feel uncomfortable, they're not going to tell you.
No.
They're going to tell someone else.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why recognizing that the conversation around your personal life, your intimate life, which might include sex and it might not. It might be dating or Tinder or what have you. The workplace is not the place to test that out. It really isn't.
No, it's not.
Because again, you bring in all these other people who have to then come and talk to you about your conduct or help you understand what is and isn't appropriate. And you can bet, like, we're very much, I guess, influenced to be kind, to be nice, to not rock the boat. So I'm not going to tell you directly, don't show me that. I'm going to tell the HR person to tell you, don't show me that.
And then it becomes their problem. And then more people know, you know.
And then the poor HR person's like, oh.
And then it creates tension in the workplace, doesn't it? Like, I feel like it's definitely needs to be more accepted that if you're uncomfortable, you just need to, swallow the pill and say, oh, I don't actually really want to hear about this now. And then it's awkward for like maybe 5 minutes, but now down the line, everyone's forgotten about it, move on. Whereas if you've gone to the HR person and be like, I cannot handle this person talking about their Tinder anymore, it creates an issue. Then that person gets cranky because they didn't tell them themselves, and then it creates a lot of workplace tension.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like it can be an easy fix off the bat if you're just confident enough to just be like, hey, sorry, I just kind of want to work. I don't want to really.
I think that's sort of like a workplace culture change as well.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
If someone's talking about something and someone says they're uncomfortable with it, everyone's going to be like, oh, why? Like, just deal with it, This is fun chat. But like, it should be okay that someone doesn't really want to do that and they're not judged for that.
Oh, well, this is exactly why workplaces should sign up for our training.
That's so true.
So
we actually do little services about that, don't we?
Little advertising.
But yeah, like, I think your discussion today, like, this is the first time I've heard of this. Well, this is the law. So we shouldn't put our team members in a position where they don't know what's workplace appropriate.
100%.
Yeah. So being proactive is so important.
Yeah. I feel like there's a big culture around, oh, did you guys do the HR training? Yeah. Oh God, it was so boring. Skip through it all. So like being like, engaging in things that are actually interesting and realistic, I feel like is really important.
And that's our aim.
Yeah.
That's what Kieran's plan is for this podcast.
The goal,
Workplace
right?
Inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yes. So to wrap up, because I don't know how long we've been talking, but I feel like we've covered a lot of ground. Just let's wrap up to this point. How many times should you ask your colleague out? What have we decided there?
I think one.
Maximum of one. What
And
if-
then like a follow-up or let them
communication.
comment back. Yeah, it's all about communication.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you can communicate, just maybe not direct.
Don't be like, hey, you want to go out? Oh, sorry, no, not. And then the next day you're like, hey, like,
Are you
you ready
sure?
for drinks? Like,
Yeah.
there's a line. Like, it doesn't have to be the same. Okay, let's go out next week. Let's go out. Let's go out. Like, they do it different
Every
ways.
day.
Everyone does it different ways. It's like, oh, Jack, do you want to get a drink? Like, oh, like let's go to Prees at my house before we go out.
Yes. So like the concept of like wearing your work colleague down, that's a definite don't do that.
No.
That's going to lead you to the HR office.
That's bad.
Yep.
Yeah. What about, so we talked about, is there ever a time when once is too much?
If someone's already made it clear that they don't
If you
like you like that, and you've made maybe comments that are inappropriate or flirting that not reciprocated, I feel like that is not okay.
Yeah, it does like
And the classic way of doing that is like we're flirting and then someone drops, oh, my boyfriend.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
That's
So
always the cover.
Pick up on those social cues.
Yeah.
observe.
Yeah. Be
Observe.
observant. I feel like that's people just lack that thinking about others and being self-aware of their behavior. If you can work on that and just observe, you'll be
Yeah.
good to go.
Don't jump the gun.
Don't jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
I feel like be very certain about where you're going and how they feel.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. So once, I feel like saying like before you, like I'm always the mum, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Before you start a workplace relationship, like enter into agreement. Like what happens if it
God.
affects
I'm like,
shouting
they're
people here now,
hot.
like sign this agreement.
Hey, I just thought you were cute. Can you sign this contract?
But like what is there any harm in saying, look, we like each other, we're talking about a relationship, I want it to be private, like I don't want this to talk about at work.
Yeah.
I want to talk about
Don't
the
want
fact that
exclusive. Is that the word?
exclusive. Well, exclusivity is a whole nother realm of like
Could be in a
workplace.
polyamorous
Sorry, I mean,
relationship.
not workplace, but like relationship agreements. But I'm just talking about the work-related ones. Like
I think
I
a
don't want
big
everyone
issue-
at work to know.
Part of that is that you need to trust your partner. If he has, or that she,
Yes.
anyone has
Yes.
friends, that they don't go and talk about that when you're not comfortable with it. You know,
Yeah.
they could be close with those people, but you don't want it to be shared with people you work
Yeah.
with. So that's
Yeah.
kind of a difficult one.
Yeah. I think Kieran's talking about like just general colleagues. Is that what you're getting on about? Like just
Yeah,
a general
like just not making
relationship.
it known.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
the
Keep it
workplace.
private, secret.
like this is our policy of how we want everyone to be. Is that what you want to get at?
No, like this is just between the couple.
Oh,
Or,
okay.
you know, or let's say it is polyamorous. Like the people
Yeah.
involved.
People involved.
Like if the people involved are saying like I want it to be private, but you do have some risk here, right? So let's say it is a manager and their team member and the agreement is that it's private. Like
it's gotta
sometimes at some point these things tend to be found out.
yeah.
yeah. And then
does that put the manager in a worse position?
or yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's what
I don't
say.
feel like I've seen one situation where people have not had something to say about that. You know, it's maybe like, oh, well, she's going to be a favorite, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
which is not good.
No, it's not good.
And I feel like that's also on the part of the actual workplace culture as well. Like maybe we should be more accepting of this and shouldn't be judging and picking on and commenting on that sort of stuff. Like that makes a workplace more comfortable.
Yes.
If something like that does happen, and like maybe we should just keep our like thoughts to ourselves.
Yeah, maybe.
Because sometimes I feel like people are in a situation where it is inappropriate and they can't speak up for themselves. So people maybe seeing that and speaking about it can be beneficial. But it depends. I feel like that's under circumstances where you're really sure that it's inappropriate and there's definite like
Yeah. So there's a line
Yeah,
of
there's a
where
line.
is it workplace inappropriate?
yeah.
Yeah, well, I think a manager and a direct team member, you'd probably want to consider maybe discussing moving one of you or both of you,
Yeah.
or like within an organisation that's reasonable size, or looking at one of you or both of you getting alternative jobs If the relationship is something that you think is long term,
yeah.
What else? You could consider being open with certain people, like telling people that you think are important. As a manager, I think you should be talking to your own manager.
Yeah, definitely.
Adulting.
Yes,
communicating.
Communication.
Being real with it.
And then, But then we don't want to tell up. So if we get into a situation like this and you're with them, we don't want to be like, okay, we're going to get into a relationship. You need to leave the job now.
Oh, that's right, because that's not.
It needs to be a mutual decision.
Yeah, that's coercively controlling too.
Yeah, definitely. So it needs
so
to
many
be.
things you have to think about.
I don't want my reputation affected, so you have to get a new job.
Exactly. Yeah. So we don't want to do
bad.
that.
That's manipulation.
Yeah.
No.
So we have to be wary of stuff like that. So it has to be like an open communication, open decision.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe really ask yourself before you go asking someone out from work or before you go starting a relationship, do I really want all these things affecting my work?
Yeah, exactly. Your performance at work.
Yeah, your work security.
Just shut off a really good opportunity because work comes first.
Or maybe you come first.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
right.
it's different under different circumstances.
Definitely you come first.
But
that's the moral of the story.
If it's gonna crumble your whole career, then maybe it isn't worth it. No.
Well, but also talking about like what happens if we break up?
Yeah.
Or how would we go about breaking up? Or what are the commitments we make about how we continue to behave in the workplace if we break up?
Yeah.
Like I know that I'm the mum. I'm the one drink, one water.
One drink, one water.
You know, relationship plan.
One policy, one contract.
Relationship contract. But then it is,
No, you're right.
None of these things go smoothly.
Exactly.
No, they don't.
And they're not talked about either.
They're not. It's very taboo, isn't it? It's a very taboo subject. And that's what I mean. That workplace culture definitely needs to change.
Yeah.
And it needs to be seen as, if it's going to happen, can't be judged.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's work.
Yeah, that's right.
So
time and place.
Time and place. Okay, so we close that one out.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for listening, everyone. That's it for today.
Was there anything else we raised that we didn't resolve?
I feel like there's so many ways that this could segue to.
Yeah.
And that's definitely
there's
just
no
something.
One resolution.
There isn't. And I feel like just the moral of the story is that you just need to be observant of your colleagues.
Place.
Yeah, time and place.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. Like what conversations are you having at work? Be wary of other people around you. Like.
But also confidence. Don't wait 7 years to ask someone out if you both know you like each other. You know, just have one stab in the dark.
Is this Love Actually?
Yes. I watched Love Actually last night. The Christmas party. Carl.
You guys both watched these movies last night. I watched like a poker manipulating movie last night.
Oh my God. I haven't watched Love Actually for a long time. Well, since last Christmas.
Thank you.
But I know exactly the scene you're talking
I'm sad about it still.
Aw, it should have worked out.
Yeah, it should have.
Anyway, on that note.
Romanticized workplace relationships. They're actually really fraught with danger. So good planning, good thoughtfulness, a lot of communication, and, you know, wearing someone down is a bad strategy. Thinking that no one's going to find out is a bad strategy.
Yeah. Just be open, honest, communicate.
And think ahead.
Yeah.
Like what is the worst that can happen and then plan for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
If you like our style, contact us for more information about what is Workplace Appropriate, and tune in for the Workplace Inappropriate podcast. Once a month, we'll be answering a question that is hopefully shining a light on the realities of workplace conduct and how we can help people in modern workplaces meet the requirements of their HR team and the legislation, but also delve into real issues with real conversation about the realities of work.
Also, if you have any questions or stories from today, pop them in because we'll talk about them.
Tune into our Q&A that we have, our live Q&A at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And we can answer all your questions.
Chat about
scenarios, give us your stories.
Yeah,
it's always fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Workplace Inappropriate from WorkplacePositive.com. Workforce Positive offers a fresh approach to bullying and harassment prevention training. Our training goes beyond the legislative definitions. We apply learning to real examples so that your team are equipped to make the best possible decisions on their conduct. With the Workplace Inappropriate Training Program, employers have access to monthly live training to induct new team members every 30 days, ensuring that you're always current with your legal obligations to actively prevent bullying and harassment at work. We have your policy, process, conduct charter, and training covered, all in one place. Contact WorkforcePositive.com at www.workforcepositive.com to learn more.